Hello and welcome to The Real Estate Beat. I'm Amy Atkins.
And I'm Meena.
Let's talk about fallout.
There has been a lot of fallout from other lenders. A lot of lenders do not do a pre-approval. And I don't quite understand why a real estate agent would accept a pre-approval letter that is not a pre-approval and not make a phone call. And I'm not blaming you. I am blaming the bad loan officers that are out there. And trust me when I say I am getting 1 to 2 to maybe 3 fallouts a week. And in the company, we're seeing even more than that. So what I'm concerned with is there's a lot of bozos that did refis a year ago, and that's all they did. And now they're starting to try just 2 loans, and that's all they want to do. And they're trying to do purchase money loans, and they don't know how to calculate income or do anything. So that's where my biggest concern is right now. And it seems like they're getting offers accepted. They get 10 or 12 days into escrow, and they're like, oh, we have a problem. We need a delay, blah, 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 blah. And guess what happens? You're 17, 18, 19 days in, you got to relist that property, and you don't want to do that.
Will you please explain what a good pre-approval is?
A good pre-approval means that I get everything. And clients sometimes get very frustrated when I ask for everything. Well, I went online and they didn't ask me for any of this stuff. Well, you know what? Do you want to be pre-approved or do you want to get pre-qualified? Because I can take your word for it and go ahead and write a letter and say, oh yeah, you're good to go. And then call the agent and go, this thing's a piece of crap. I don't know what it is. What it comes down to is we've really got to make sure that we have everything. So we're going to ask for the W-2s, the pay stubs, the bank statements, where the money comes from, and we pre-underwrite that file.
No, seriously though, their people send out, they basically get a pulse and maybe a phone number and, hey, do you have a job? And then they send out a letter of pre-qualification and think it's good enough. But what do you do that's different than the bozos that you're talking about?
So when I talk to a client, I ask them all the questions, and they tell me, oh, I make $134,000 a year. My spouse makes 61, blah, 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 blah. You're self-employed. No, this, that, the other. When we get everything, that's when the rubber hits the road. That's when we look at everything and say, yes, he was telling the truth. Yes, his credit score is actually 740. Yes, the income is consistent and will continue. Okay? But so often there's something wacky in a file that your clients don't want to tell you because they're hiding it, and they, God bless them, they don't know that it's really hurting them that bad. So basically, all we're doing is we're verifying all of this before you get them in the car and before you drive them away and before you spend 12 or 15 or 20 hours putting offers in, before you get an offer accepted. We want to look at that file and make sure they're actually pre-approved, not pre-qualified by the internet lender or this other bozo who was a refi lender a week ago or a year ago or whatever it is.
I can feel the passion in your voice.
Well, because it's stupid. It is just because what's happening, you're selling a house for $780 and 3 weeks later it's worth $755. And now what? Now you're going to go back to your client and go, oh, by the way, yeah, that lender was bad, this, that, the other. That's just horrible. It's horrible business. And it's not your fault. It's the lender's fault. But again, you've got to go to somebody you trust and you respect and you like and you know is going to do the job fully. I can't get you a pre-approval in 15 minutes. I can fake it, but I'm not going to. I've been doing this for 32 years and I don't lie. That's just what it comes down to.
Let's talk about what are you going to ask for that maybe this other lender over here that completely dropped the ball did not ask for.
The W-2s, the pay stubs, the bank statements, and then we're going to look at what the income is, the consistency of income, all of that. We pre-underwrite the file before it goes to underwriting. Now, some of these banks say, oh, we'll underwrite the file for you and get you a full underwrite. I don't need that. I have a 0% fallout rate. I don't need that. My team knows what the heck they're doing. So we're going to ask for everything up front. We're going to frustrate a client. They're going to go, why are you asking about this? We're just getting pre-approved. Yes, pre-approved. Do you want to be pre-approved or you want to be pre-qualified? You want to fall out of escrow or you want to stay in escrow? So that's the difference.
Let's talk about, too, the fact that it's all good until we get all the way down the line and we're 30 days in and maybe we're doing a verification of employment or something like that, and it's just not there. It's just not right because they didn't do their due diligence up front.
Right. I'm thinking of a couple of the ones that are on my desk right now that aren't going to qualify. People that went to a 1099 job or have a 1099 job and they thought they were employed by an employer and they're not really, or they're a certain amount of money might be for housing allowance or gas or things like that that you can't use for income, but they call that part of their package, or they're using their health insurance that the company's paying $1,000 a month for and thinking that that's income, and it's not. So all of those things can create a problem. If you don't have a pay stub, or you don't have a verification of employment, or someone who's working 32 hours a week and they say, oh, I'm making $60 an hour, that's $120,000 a year. No, not if you're working 32 hours a week instead of 40, that's a 20% pay cut. So all of these things weigh into what a mess some of these lenders are, and they don't want to take the time because they don't know that that deal is going to be there. It's crazy to me because we're slow, and I'm just going to admit it. This is a crappy year, but we're positive. We keep going. But we have so many buyers that are pre-approved, and we still spend all of the time getting buyers pre-approved. Whether they buy a house or not, we've got to do that 3, 4, 5 hours per file, not 3, 4, 5 minutes. Yeah, you sound good, John. I'll send you a letter. No, that's BS. Get the right stuff right up front. And these other lenders that don't do that, don't ever talk to them again. Don't listen to them. They screw up once, they're out. That's how it should be.
But we were talking about fallout. So as we're talking about fallout, okay, this means that they went somewhere else. They're probably maybe already in escrow, okay? And now there's a 911 and it's a phone call and it's coming to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've got to try to save the deal with less time than the original lender had.
Correct.
Yes.
If you can. And a lot of times I would say 7 or 8 out of 10. First of all, if they can be saved, we will save them. If they can't be saved, then we have to come up with a different conclusion. So, we were getting a 6.25% rate with this other bank. Oh, well, by the way, you're not approved. So now you can have this loan over here, or you can get a cosigner, or you can do this, you can fix your credit, or you can do that. And we go ahead and we give them the 9 answers that they need to get there. But like we had one on Wednesday that the guy's like, I'll just send you the stuff when I feel like it. Okay, you just do that. You're already 17 days into escrow. You're about to get the boot. And the listing agent wasn't going to take any of that. He's like, forget this. I don't need this guy, blah, 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 blah. But him taking that offer in the first place was kind of his mistake. But again, it wasn't, because he trusted the other realtor and the other lender and all this other stuff as you go through.
Okay, so when we're talking about fallout, we're talking about you're getting a call from a desperate person who's probably already in escrow. The wheels are already turning. You have a seller that's already probably maybe bought another property. You've probably got 2 real estate agents involved. You've got people that are thinking they're going to be moving into a new home. All the wheels are turning, and now it's up to you to sort of put out a fire.
Yeah. Sometimes you can put the fire out, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it just has to burn for a while. The biggest problem I see right now is you'll have a client that was approved to $800,000, and maybe they qualify for $650,000. But they don't qualify for $800,000 because they didn't calculate the income right. They didn't look at anything correctly. They didn't know what they were doing on the other end. And now you've got to talk that client out of an $800,000 purchase and into a $650,000 purchase. And what's the answer by the client every time? Imagine that. Yeah, I saw this $800,000, 2,800 square foot house that I really liked. Now I'm going to get a 1,400 square foot starter home. I'm really not happy. I don't care where the payment is. I can afford the other payment. I don't understand why you can't approve me. Why are you treating me like this? Blah, 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 blah. I hear it every day. And it's not my fault, and they get it. But the problem is the other lender didn't do their job right. They ran everybody around in circles like morons. And that's why realtors say, I hate lenders, I hate lenders, I hate lenders. Yeah, why do they hate them? Because lenders are stupid. Because they don't know what they're doing. They don't get the proper oversight to get this thing started. Lenders will send you out on the street, go be a loan officer. Here, go bring in business and screw it up. That's not how you do business.
Well, a lot of them were busy doing refis the last couple of years.
That's all they know.
And they're newer to the business.
Correct.
So the skill set's not there. And it's important for anybody watching this to know how important that skill set is, because you've got people that are coming to you, and sometimes it's not just, all the ingredients for the cake are there. You've got self-employed, you've got 1099, you've got all kinds of factors that come in, or maybe they think they have income that they don't have, all this kind of stuff. That takes time to put together. But the good news is we have saved some things, and we have close that escrow when you didn't even have the 30 days to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the difference between you and other people. And that's why it really takes a true pro. And that's why, you said that agents don't like lenders, but that's why you have the reputation you have.
Yeah. We're all afraid in this business right now because business is slower. And I think that we really need to look at that file in the right way. You're not going to lose would you rather lose your buyer before we start the escrow, or do you want to lose your buyer at day 15 or 17 or 24? What's going to make you look better to your seller? Do you think if you lose that buyer 24 days into an escrow that you're going to go to your seller, hey, this is great news. It's better news today than it was 24 days ago.
Yeah.
No, interest rates are a little bit better than they were, but still, it's not better news today than it was 24 days ago. So what I want you to get at is make sure you do your due diligence. Send that file to us. Let us look it over. Let us talk to the other lender. Let's make sure that they have the experience. Let's find out all of those things before we deal with some guy who's been working in the business for a year and a half or 2 years or 2.5 or even 3 years. They were all refis a year ago, all refis 2 years ago.
Well, and if you're a real estate agent too, don't be afraid if your client comes to you and says, my brother's cousin's friend's sister just got into lending and we're going to try to go with her.
Yeah.
To be able to have that conversation and say, that's great, but let's also get you in front of someone who has a reputation, is known for it in the community, can get the job done, just to have a second set of eyes on it.
Yeah.
Just to have a second set of eyes on it from the beginning.
And there are other good lenders. I don't know who they are, but there are other good lenders that don't make mistakes. I had one the other day from a girl and she's like, oh yeah, they don't qualify for that kind of property. They don't qualify for any kind of property. But she was in escrow for 10 days and she's like, oh yeah, they don't qualify for that kind of property. The property was a stinking condo. She just didn't want to do it because she figured out she messed up. And she was trying to save face. This happens so often. Okay, if I can do it, anybody else can, if they know how to package the loan properly.
What would be your parting advice, okay, out there to people? Hey, we have consumers watching, we have agents watching, we have sellers watching, we have buyers watching. What would be your best advice?
My best advice is you need to call a lender that has some skin in the game. Someone who is you're going to get business from on a regular basis or give business to on a regular basis that really cares about your relationship. Someone who has a reputation out there that's decent. Someone who knows what they're doing and is going to do the work, is not just going to slap it on the wall and hope it sticks. And when it doesn't stick, say, oh, well, it's not my fault, blah, 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 blah. It is my fault, okay? If I mess up, it is my fault. I will take the blame 1,000% of the time. But we don't make those mistakes. And if we do, we'll fix them. Trust me. But when someone else makes those mistakes, it's ugly. And they're not going to be able to fix it because they don't have the power to do that. And they're making some really bad rookie errors.
And that's very true, and that's why you get the 911 calls and you get that coming across the desk, and yet we still manage to close it. So anyway, thanks for watching, and remember, fallout is a real thing right now. Start with a professional to begin with. And again, if you're an agent, it's your due diligence to convince your clients to do so. And if you're out there and you're thinking of getting pre-approved, make sure it's a real pre-approval and not just a, hey, yeah, you're good to go with a wink and a smile, right?
Yeah, no, that pre-qualification stuff's just garbage.
So again, thanks again for watching the Real Estate Beat with Mike and Amy, and we'll see you next time.